Syria's war, a conflict that has devastated the country since 2011, raises the complex question, who really benefits? This multifaceted conflict, involving a range of domestic and international actors, has led to a tragic humanitarian crisis and significant geopolitical shifts. Understanding the beneficiaries of this conflict involves untangling the web of military, political, and economic interests that have converged in Syria. Initially, the Syrian war began as a part of the Arab Spring, with citizens protesting against the government for democratic reforms. However, it quickly escalated into a civil war, with various factions and foreign powers getting involved. Each participant in the conflict, from the Syrian government and opposition groups to foreign governments and militant organizations, has their own set of goals and benefits to gain. The Syrian government, under President Bashar al-Assad, has been a key player in the war. Despite significant losses in the early years of the conflict, the Assad regime, with support from allies like Russia and Iran, has managed to regain much of the territory it lost. For Assad and his government, survival and maintaining power have been the ultimate benefits amidst the chaos. Russia's intervention in 2015, to support the Assad regime, has been a game-changer in the conflict. Moscow's primary benefit has been to reinforce its position as a key player in Middle Eastern politics, protecting its naval facility in Tartus, and showcasing the prowess of its military technology. This intervention has also allowed Russia to project power in a region traditionally dominated by the United States and its allies. Iran's involvement in Syria, primarily in support of Assad, is driven by a strategic desire to extend its influence in the region. Tehran views Syria as a crucial ally in establishing a regional bloc against its rivals, particularly Saudi Arabia and Israel. The preservation of the Shia Alawite-led Assad regime is critical for Iran's strategic interests, including maintaining the supply route to Hezbollah in Lebanon. For militant groups like the Islamic State and al-Qaeda, the Syrian war provided an opportunity to establish a foothold in the region. Although their territories have been significantly reduced, these groups benefited by attracting recruits, garnering international attention, and briefly establishing a self-proclaimed caliphate in parts of Syria and Iraq. Turkey's involvement in the conflict is motivated by a mix of security concerns and geopolitical ambitions. Ankara has sought to prevent the establishment of a Kurdish autonomous region along its border and to exert influence in the post-war political landscape of Syria. The conflict has allowed Turkey to pursue these objectives under the guise of national security. The United States and its Western allies initially supported various opposition groups in Syria, aiming to counter both Assad and extremist groups. While direct benefits have been limited, their involvement has been part of a broader strategy to influence the outcome of the war and to counter the growing influence of Russia and Iran in the region. The Gulf states, particularly Saudi Arabia and Qatar, have supported different opposition factions. Their involvement is part of a larger regional power struggle with Iran, with Syria being a proxy battlefield. The main benefit sought by these states is to weaken Iran's regional influence by overthrowing its ally, the Assad regime. Israel's primary concern in the Syrian conflict has been to prevent Iran from establishing a permanent military presence in Syria. While not directly involved in the fighting, Israel has conducted numerous airstrikes against Iranian targets in Syria, aiming to safeguard its own security interests. On the economic front, the war in Syria has opened up opportunities for military and defense companies. The demand for weapons and military equipment has benefited countries like Russia, the US, and several European nations, which have supplied arms to various parties in the conflict. The humanitarian and reconstruction sector also stands to benefit in the post-war period. International organizations, NGOs, and construction firms could find significant opportunities in rebuilding war-torn Syria, although this is contingent on a sustainable peace agreement. For Syrian opposition groups, the benefits have been mixed. While they have received international attention and some level of support, their fragmented nature and the rise of extremist factions within their ranks have limited their effectiveness and bargaining power. The Kurdish forces in northern Syria, primarily the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, have benefited from the conflict by establishing a degree of autonomy in their regions. However, this has been constantly under threat due to Turkish incursions and the shifting policies of international allies, particularly the United States. The Syrian conflict has also had implications for global energy politics. Control over oil-rich regions in northeastern Syria has been a contentious issue, with various parties, including the US, Russia, and local forces, vying for influence over these resources. In the realm of international law and human rights, the Syrian war has set precedents in terms of responses to war crimes, the use of chemical weapons, and the displacement of civilians. Human rights organizations and international legal bodies may benefit in the long run by establishing new norms and mechanisms for dealing with such crises. The media and information industries have benefited from the Syrian war through increased viewership and readership. The conflict has provided a continuous stream of news and analysis, boosting the profiles of journalists, analysts, and news organizations. In conclusion, the Syrian war, while a tragedy for the Syrian people and a source of regional instability, has provided various benefits to a range of domestic and international actors. From geopolitical gains for countries like Russia and Iran to economic opportunities for arms manufacturers and potential reconstruction contracts, the conflict has had wide-ranging implications. Thank you for watching this detailed exploration of Syria's war. Understanding the diverse and often conflicting interests in this conflict is key to comprehending its complexity. Please remember to like and subscribe to Middle East Info for more insightful analyses of the Middle East's pivotal events.